welcome to another episode of the Crispy Compact Communiqué, the 2021 slash 2020 hoopla that is the Crispy Noodle podcast in a streamable format. Good to be with you guys. I'm Rich Liebig.
And I'm Michael Costanzo.
And we are here to still give you interesting tidbits in sports, entertainment, and odd news. Plenty of news topics to get to. Before we get into all those, actually want to say happy St. Patrick's Day. Did not time this at all so that our broadcast would fall right on St. Patty's Day, but it did. So if you're Irish, hootenanny to you and have fun tonight. And
is that the traditional Irish saying, Rich? Hootenanny to you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Hootenanny to all you fine Irish folk out there. That's right, from the Crispy Noodle.
I don't know. I am wearing green. I got my green shirt on.
You are. That's more than I'm doing. I have no green anywhere.
You're
here.
Still fine. You got Ghost on. I respect that.
That's true. I do have Ghost. I don't know what that has to do with St. Patrick's Day, but
this is a weird role reversal. Usually I'm wearing a Ghost shirt, but now this time you are. So I don't know.
I was just feeling the Ghost today. What can I say?
Yeah, I don't know what got in our water supply, but Mike is right now the Ghost fan. I am representing myself because I have more luck of the Irish. Wishing you no whammies. So make sure that you. Make sure you don't run into the dreaded whammy in your endeavors.
You definitely don't want to run into the whammy. That's true.
Yeah. So there you go. That's where we're starting the show off right then and there. Mike, how you doing besides all this hoopla?
I'm good. Speaking of St. Patty's Day and Luck of the Irish, I actually rewatched The Luck of the Irish, the Disney Channel original movie. That movie is
the one with Sean Connery.
Does that have Sean Connery in it?
The really old one, right? Or am I thinking?
No, this is from the 90s.
Oh no, I'm thinking. You know what? I'm thinking of a different one. I'm thinking of
the Disney Channel original movie. Rich, where are you?
I'm thinking of a different Irish movie.
Thinking of a different Irish movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, for those of us that aren't 60 years old, I'm talking about the.
Good transition.
I'm talking about the Disney Channel Luck of the Irish movie. It's fantastic. I remember watching that as a kid and getting a chance to go back and watch it again. It really makes you appreciate just how weird the Disney Channel original movies were. Like, they were super weird and mildly offensive at certain points to certain groups of people because it was the 90s. They didn't really know what they were doing, but it was just so funny and so... like this kid was like concerned because he didn't have a heritage because his family was keeping it from him. They didn't want him to know that he was Irish because. See what I mean?
Wow.
See what I mean? It's like mildly offensive.
I'm gonna have to bring this up with a couple of my Irish friends that there's an actual movie in which the parents do not want their kids to know they're Irish.
But yeah, it's wild. So it's not just because he's Irish; it's because they're secretly leprechauns. Because all Irish people are leprechauns. And it only gets progressively worse from there. No, it's a great movie. It's really funny.
All right, all Irish people are leprechauns. Got it. Thank you,
all Irish
Disney.
people are leprechauns. Yeah. So go check out Luck of the Irish. I watched it on Disney Plus. It's a fantastic blast from the past. So that's what I was doing, was watching and making fun of Luck of the Irish. Rich, how have you been? What have you been up to?
Can't even think straight.
You just can't get past Luck of the Irish now, can you?
Yeah, that blew me away. Thank you, Disney, for those stunning revelations. What did we do? I don't know. I don't know what I did now. I don't know. We're in this.
I broke Rich.
Yeah, we're in this awkward March time.
Yeah.
But oh, I know what I did. This is what I wanted to say. Oh my god. All right, here we go. Now I'm good. Now I'm literally back on the right track, if you will, because me and Rachel, we did a train ride out in Strasbourg, outside of Lancaster. It was really cool. It's a closed track and it goes around, and for the adult version of it, you get to sample wine and cheese as the train goes around the loop. It was very fascinating. It
So
was
when you say train ride, like what do you mean? Like an old timey like steam engine thing?
yeah, that they
Like what was it all
restored.
about?
Yeah, basically think of like one of those fancy carriages in like Red Dead Redemption or um, another western, anything, you know.
Right,
And they
right.
restored it to perfection, and you get to see, you know, the decorations and how then like how it was styled and everything. It has a little
Hmm.
bar and yeah, and for the adults they do this wine and cheese sampling as it goes around the track, and it
And
was a lot of fun.
where does it take you? Just like around the town? Like
It goes. It doesn't go too far out. But yeah, you're back within I think an hour it took.
that's
Um,
pretty cool.
yeah, it was. It was a very interesting experience. And it was one of those things because we went out to Lancaster for Valentine's Day, and we were driving on the way back, and we kept seeing this Strasburg Railroad. And we're like, what is this? They're like these huge signs. There's actually another restaurant across from it that's like the railroad, and it's like, what is this? This town is obsessed with railroads, but now I see why. You can get drunk on one.
There
So
you go. Yeah.
yeah, it was fun. You know, it's a unique activity if you've never tried it.
Okay. Oh, I might have to keep that in the back of my mind for possible future outings. That sounds very interesting and unique.
Yeah, yeah, it's something that I don't think you would think of
Right.
as a date idea, but it works. It works
That's pretty
perfectly.
cool. That sounds pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. That's what we were up to this past weekend. How about we shift time even further and go back a full year? What were we doing this time last year? This is part of our little mini series that we're doing where we look back on where we were at this moment in 2020 to revisit the COVID-19 fiasco. This time last week we had our first kind of news bulletins that affected our sports and entertainment talk. This time last year was the official all hands on deck. If you go back to our podcast this time last year, it was the very last regular episode of the Crispy Noodle podcast, where I gotta admit, the first 10 minutes, I think just everyone should just listen to. You can hear like the uncertainty in
Yeah.
how we're describing everything, and we don't know how things are going to play out. New Jersey apparently was the first state in this tri-state area to officially go on a full-scale lockdown. So we were commenting as to whether or not when would Pennsylvania be, and apparently I think the like 1 or 2 days afterwards from that recording.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of bizarre to hear that we are now a full year into COVID-19, and this time last year it was our last regular episode.
Yeah, it's really weird to say that. And I listened to that part of the episode earlier today just to, you know, freshen up a bit on it. And it's amazing just how uninformed we were and just how uncertain we were. Like you said, I remember, listening back on it, just us cracking jokes about, what was going to happen. We were never going to have a podcast again. The end was nigh. And, it was all fun and games. And I think even at that point, we thought this was going to be wrapped up in a month or two, you know?
Yeah, boy, were we wrong on that.
Here
That
we
was
are 49 episodes later into this. And Rich originally, I remember the text messages and the conversations is like, oh yeah, this is just like an interim thing. We'll just do these short little, half hour, 45-minute episodes just to tide us over until we get back to recording the full episodes. I don't think either of us envisioned it going 49 episodes deep into this crispy compact communique. We should have just kept the regular show numbering at that,
yeah.
if we knew it was going to be this long. But it's a nice little interesting like tangent in our history of the podcast. We'll be able to look back on these and appreciate how we were able to keep it going despite everything.
Yeah, we made it through a damn pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. We're some of the lucky ones that we were able to find a solution and continue to do it and continue to be here every week. But man, listening back to that episode, it's so eerie. Think about where we were and where we are now. I remember describing the opening salvo of closures. I described trying to find food at a restaurant, and I still think back to those early days where literally there were no cars on the road, there were no people out and about, there was nothing on store shelves. It really did feel like the world was grinding to a halt, because it was, and somehow we found a way to keep the gears moving.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to look back and just see how naive and uninformed and uncertain we were.
Yeah, it's definitely a time capsule.
Yeah.
And that's funny now that I think about it. I mean, that is kind of, when you think about the history of these recorded shows and podcasting, that is kind of the inevitable goal that these shows end up being, is they are time capsules. But now with something as historic as a worldwide pandemic, it really hits home. Just something that only happened a year ago, and it's crazy to
Yeah.
go back and listen to how, I guess, naive we were. That yeah, we thought this was, oh yeah, 2 weeks, 2 weeks to a month, we'll be fine, we'll be back.
We were talking
And
about how, by the summer, by the fall, man, we didn't know anything. I love what you said about time capsule. It really is. One of the crazy things about doing timely relevant news is that you can go back in the history of the 300 plus episodes and see what the mindset was, what the pulse of society was at the time, back in 2015, 2016, as, different things are happening. And, where we split off from the Crispy No podcast to the Crispy Compact Communiqué, that is like such an interesting handful of episodes there around the start of it, because it really does encapsulate the thinking and the collective mindset of what was happening at the time. It's like sociologically really fascinating. And we've just reached the point in the episode where we get way too educated for our own good. So we got to dumb it way down, Rich, way down. We got to talk about some.
oh, don't worry, we still have another 45 minutes of a podcast to dumb things down. We'll be fine. The overall average of the show will be at its lowest, that it usually is. It's just right now you hit an early peak.
Right. It's all downhill from here, folks.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get worse when we start diving into some sports news. I think now's a good time to dive into the first major topic here, and that is, of course, the start of NFL free agency. And the new league year started, and we're hit with a flurry of news topics. It's been all day, fast and furious. The announcements have been coming. Man, where do you want to start? There's like four or five main topics here that we got to touch on at least.
Yeah, so I guess we're going to try and, to talk about them, but we got to keep moving because, there's five kind of big ones that we isolated here. So the first one, Drew Brees officially retiring. Not really a surprise, but there were kind of murmurs that, maybe he was second guessing, maybe he should come back another year. But in the end, I think cooler heads prevailed and logic prevailed. Drew Brees officially retires from the NFL. Pretty much holds every single passing stat that you would want. Just efficient, length of his career, his success with the Saints. I mean, he just pretty much has every single thing checked mark. He's going to go into the Hall of Fame. It's definite.
Oh yeah, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer for sure, and I think he's stepping away from the game at the right time. He didn't overstay his welcome, like Peyton Manning did near the end of his career, where he was basically just like a name that they trotted out on the Broncos. He stepped away when he was still, he could still sling it with the best of them. He was still having good seasons. After this topsy-turvy year, he was probably like, what, now's as good a time as any. Retire with your health intact. He does leave New Orleans in a little bit of a lurch. They re-signed Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston. They're going to duke it out to see who will be the starting quarterback. But you know what? Props to Drew Brees. He had a hell of a career, and he's going to go down as one of the best of all time. And slowly but surely that quarterback era, I think it's really only Brady that's left,
And
right?
Ben Roethlisberger.
And Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, other than those two, I mean, it really there's no more of those. I guess does Aaron Rodgers fall on that era too? I
Yeah,
guess
yeah, he
he's
kind
like
of
on the very cusp of it.
yeah, he's just on the edge of that cuz he's what 36, 37.
He's something up there. He's getting up there.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
he's not pushing 40 directly yet, but he's about to.
right. It was like Manning, Brady, Rivers,
Yeah.
Brees, Roethlisberger, the other Manning.
Other
that
Manning.
whole era of quarterbacks now is basically long gone. The way of the dinosaur now. Got to look towards new up and coming quarterbacks, right?
Yep.
Um,
But in case you're stubborn on your quarterback position, but you want to spend money on everybody else, you have the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick. Oh man, Bill Belichick came out with his ass on fire.
he's pissed, is what
Yeah,
he is.
yeah. There's a couple of sports shows that tried to silence this argument, saying that that's not who Bill Belichick is and all this stuff. There's definitely a little bit of revenge here that Belichick wants to go all out
You
in
don't go out
next
and
year.
sign like the biggest players in most of the free agency categories without people talking about how you're seeking revenge. I mean, he signed two, I would say top 10-ish tight ends. Signed Nelson Aguilar, Jalen Mills away from the Eagles,
Yep.
linebacker from the Ravens, Matthew Judon, who had 15 sacks in the last 2 years. I mean, the flurry of signings. They also re-signed Cam Newton, I believe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been nonstop. I mean, for every news story that's not about the Patriots, there's like two more news stories about the Patriots that have popped up over the past couple of days. They've been everywhere.
Yep. Bill Belichick. I mean, he has the cap space and he's got talent that needs to be signed. He went after them full force, especially all on like day one of
Yeah.
free agency. He did not want to lose some of these key players, but at the same time, there's going to be a lot of turnover in New England. I don't know how successful it'll be. I mean, we've seen in the past that this kind of flashy free agency signings don't necessarily work the way you think it will when it's too many
Right.
new faces and too many new personalities in the same locker room.
Yeah. In fact, it could spell the end for Bill Belichick. I mean, if this goes south, think about how the dream team went south for the Philadelphia Eagles. It's days are numbered if a huge splashy free agency like this turns the wrong way.
Yep.
You know,
So we'll see how that develops there. Then in our own division, I was hoping that Ryan Fitzmagic himself, I thought he would come to the Eagles, but nope. Instead, he lands with a division rival, the Washington football team. They pick him up, and I don't know what the hell they're doing in Washington. This is their current quarterback depth chart. Number one, Ryan Fitzpatrick, who is 38, I think, right now, 37 or 38 at the going into this season. That's their that's their top guy. So good
makes
luck.
sense. They went from Alex Smith to Ryan Fitzpatrick, so it's in keeping with the team.
Yeah. Then Kyle Allen, who is a personal pet project of Riverboat Ron Riviera, the head coach. And then the sudden heartthrob of last year's playoffs, Taylor Heineke, but he's only played one game. So is he really that good? This is the weirdest quarterback depth chart I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I don't know what Washington is doing, but you know what? We really don't have room to talk because they were still better than the Eagles this year, and they're probably still going to be better than the Eagles this year. Ryan Fitzpatrick, it seems, always has our number. So we're going to lose twice against them without fail if Ryan Fitzpatrick is the
Just
starter.
chuck it deep.
We can't defend it. We can't defend it. We've shown time and time again.
Chuck it deep. Someone's got to get open.
Right, exactly. They have what's his name? Terry McLaurin, I think.
Scary Terry, yep.
Scary Terry on the outside. So he's going to cause panic in our secondary. So chalk that up for 2 losses. I'm saying right here, right now. But other than the 2 wins that they get against the Eagles, I don't know how successful they're going to be with this revolving door of quarterbacks. They need
Yeah.
to find an answer, and I don't think it's any of these guys.
No,
So
I don't
they
think
got to
so
look to
either.
the draft or free agency somewhere else in the coming years to find a permanent solution.
Yep. Now moving on to this topic where this might get more serious as this story develops. Another factor with Deshaun Watson. This kind of came out of left field. Two massage therapists are filing civil suits alleging that Deshaun Watson touched them with, quote, inappropriate conduct. Watson definitely came out and denied the claims, says that he's looking forward to clearing his name. Boy, this is just Watson. I can't believe just how chaotic his
Yeah.
life has gotten, between the fact that he said he doesn't want to play for the Texans anymore. He's demanding a trade. Now he's getting sued from these two massage therapists. Keep in mind, again, these are only allegations, and these are civil suits. So, this isn't exactly ironclad eyewitness, you know, uh, stable,
Right.
accusation here.
It's not criminal
Thank
yet.
you.
It's yeah.
I couldn't find the word.
Yeah, it's not criminal charges. We don't really have any more information than what's been reported so far. But man, it really does just toss this whole Deshaun Watson thing up into the air. It makes you wonder almost. Is this the reason why they haven't gotten a trade done? Is this going to be a distraction in the off season? It's just incredible that Deshaun Watson went from one of the most electric, exciting players, one of the most highly sought after players, to all of a sudden just having turmoil all around him all the time. It's just not a good situation.
And also viewed as a genuinely nice guy. Like, he was consistently voted as like one of the nicest guys to be around, one of the coolest players to hang around.
Yeah.
Between the fact that now he's demanding a trade and now this story comes out, yeah, it's really kind of weird to think of Deshaun Watson in this.
You have to wonder if his trade value now is potentially taking a hit because of this. Texans are probably kicking themselves, going, "We should have pulled the trigger when teams were offering 3-4 first round picks." Now, maybe teams are going to look at this and say, maybe only 1 or 2 first round picks for Deshaun Watson if they decide to move him at all. I think he actually ends up sticking with the Texans. The longer it takes to get a deal done, the more likely it won't get done.
Right. So quick shotgun question here. If Deshaun Watson stays on the Texans, will Deshaun Watson play a game, or will he hold out the entire season?
I mean, that's interesting. I think, what he should do is going to be different than what he probably ends up doing. But what he should do is he should absolutely continue to play, because if you want to get traded, what you don't want to do is you don't want to hold out. You don't want to not put tape. You don't want to put, gameplay tape together, all amidst a civil suit. One of those things maybe you can deal with as a professional, but if all those things are happening at once, all of a sudden you become a problem player, and teams aren't going to want to take a shot on you. And if you're the Texans, they're not going to want to give up big capital to take on a player that has this many problems, both on the field and off the field. So Deshaun Watson should play. Now, will he? I don't know. Is he really that unhappy? Is he really going to ride the bench and, hold out and potentially risk, his paychecks and potentially risk actually getting moved? Man, I don't know. That's a tricky one. What do you think? What does he do?
Before the Le'Veon Bell, I would say no way. But you know what? Some of these players, you piss them off, you get to a point where it's past the breaking point, and they're willing to sit out. It might happen with this.
We're definitely in a new era where players will sit out and they will take the losses in order to prove a point, which, given their status, I really don't think it's that big of a loss. I mean, everyone's like, oh, they're missing out on tens of millions of dollars. They've already made tens of millions of dollars. They can stand to hold out. And I think players are just coming to that realization. They're like, hold on, I've already made, 20, $30 million. I can sit out a season and try and force my way out of here. That will tank his trade value, though.
Yeah.
So for the Texans, if there's even a whisper of this happening, they need to move and move fast. because they could have had a huge king's ransom for Deshaun Watson. And as the days tick by and as the controversy mounts, it's slowly dwindling.
Yep.
But you know whose value isn't dwindling, Rich? Is Russell Wilson's. This dude has garnered a lot of interest from teams. In particular, a report came out that the Bears offered a huge amount of draft capital and players to try to pry Russell Wilson away from the Seattle Seahawks. Allegedly, now there's no confirmations here, Chicago offered Seattle 3 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and 2 unnamed starters for Russell Wilson. Seattle denied the offer. Rich, what do you make of this development and the fact that the Bears decided to go with Andy Dalton instead of offering up a couple more picks to try and pry Russell Wilson away? What do you think? Are the Seahawks smart for rejecting the deal? Are the Bears dumb for even offering it? Like, what's your read on this whole situation?
So I think at the end of the day, Seattle made the right call here. Because Russell Wilson's not going to get traded. I'm more confident in Russell Wilson not getting traded than I am in Deshaun Watson. Russell Wilson, if he gets traded, that's it for Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is about to turn. He's pushing 70. He does not want to start a new 3 to 5 year rebuilding process with this team. He's getting the end of his rope. If anything, you want to be, maybe you hang in there and maybe you get one more blue chip talent and maybe a couple trades other than Wilson that breaks your way, and then you can maybe make another run at the playoffs. But you do not want to start over with a full-blown rebuild unless you're the Seattle GM and the owner and you're willing to start everything from scratch. The training, the coaches, the team. That would be a full-scale, hard reboot. You're talking about getting rid of Pete Carroll, the whole 9 yards. So I don't think that's where they're at, and I think that's why this is why the trade did not happen, and I don't think Russell Wilson moves this offseason.
Yeah, as I've said with the other trades, the longer that it takes to happen, the more likely it becomes that it probably won't happen. I mean, if Seattle's not going to take that type of deal, there's probably not a deal that could be offered to them to move Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I mean, 3 first-rounders, 2 unnamed starters. I'm really curious as to who the unnamed starters were. I'm really curious. But, I like your point about Pete Carroll not wanting to wipe the slate clean and start completely over. On the other hand, that's a very Pete Carroll-centric view because the Seahawks really do need a rebuild. They have Russell Wilson, but the rest of that team has slowly been degrading over the years, and they're really running Russell Wilson into the ground and riding him as far as he can take them. And it is as far as he can take them. If anything ever happens to Russell Wilson, that team is going to be revealed for the mediocre team that they are. It's the situation like the Packers were in a couple years ago. I kept making the argument the Packers are a trash team that only has Rodgers. And that's exactly what they were. Sometimes teams run into those situations where they're only as good as that one star player. That star player is really good, but when you remove that player from the equation, it's like, we're 6-10. Yeah. So the Seahawks, I feel like, are a step or two away from that. So they really could have used this deal to completely overhaul that aging team with a lot of holes in it. But like you said, it came down to Pete Carroll. And Pete Carroll is one of those, coaches that has a lot of sway with his organization for good reason. But it could become a tricky situation if Wilson doesn't want to play, if he's unhappy with the organization. It could be another tricky situation like with Carson Wentz here in Philly or Deshaun Watson in Houston. And we see how well that goes. So it'll be interesting to see how this develops, but I do agree. I don't think Russell Wilson's going anywhere this year.
Yeah, no. Speaking of teams not going anywhere, it's time to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, talk about a team not going anywhere. The big news out of the Eagles camp is that there is no news. They made a whole bunch of moves to get under the salary cap, which they did. And it cost us the inability to make any sort of moves in free agency. The only moves we've made are restructuring and re-signing or cutting existing players. The Eagles are still continuing to shop tight end Zack Ertz, which, if you've been following the saga, might have taken a beneficial turn after the Patriots signed every single tight end on the free agency market, just about.
All the star tight ends, yep.
All the star tight ends, or at least 2 out of the 3 that were out there. Rich, I mean, what do we make of the Eagles' non-move so far? This is completely expected, but should we expect them to try anything, or is this next season just going to be a wait and see and go from there type deal?
It's the latter. The moment the NFL announced that the salary cap for all teams was taking a $16 million hit, that was the death knell. The Eagles were not going to be able to do anything this offseason. They already had to cut people and restructure contracts, and Carson Wentz still being a dead cap hit to the tune of $34 million. No, this was not gonna. There was no going to be free. There's going to be no free agency splash from Howie. It's all going to come down to the draft, which God help us.
God help us indeed. You know, I'm actually in favor of us not doing anything this season in the hopes of heading into 2022 with multiple first round picks. If Carson Wentz can start 70% of his games, that second rounder becomes a first rounder. So next year we could have 2 first round picks, and then we could really start to rebuild this team with a huge amount of cap space as well, because a lot of these older players will have, you know, moved on and will get their dead cap hits off the books. So this year is very much a bridge year or a gap year where it's just, we're just going to see what happens. We're just going to throw out whatever 53 guys are on the roster and hope that it's not a complete train wreck. A tiny train wreck we can handle. But the Eagles are never a complete train wreck. But yeah, it's going to be one of those years.
Yeah. So there you go. All the NFL news that's fit to print just for Mike. All right. Now, by the way, I forgot to mention, we're about to transition into entertainment. I love the fact that when Mike has his head in a certain way, his background looks like Ham On. Because he loves Hamilton, but his head is blocking out the I and the L and the T, so it just looks like Ham On.
Ham on.
Mike, you beautiful bastard. Ham on.
Ham on indeed. Yeah, I am a Hamilton fan. If you couldn't tell by Rich's background, he is a Borat fan. And this is the perfect transition to talk about Oscar nominations, because I'm sure there's some that Rich cannot wait to get to.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, Hamilton was not nominated for anything. That's why I'm rocking the Hamilton background, because I'm upset at the snub. But there were a lot of deserving films that were nominated for big categories. And Rich, where do you want to start with this? Do you want to go over the nominations? Do you want to go over the odds? How do you want to tackle this?
How about before we get into the odds, I want to give you my super fun fact.
Okay, what's your super fun fact?
Super fun fact. Everyone put this in your arsenal, or maybe use this as a way to win a bet at the bar. I don't know. I feel like this is information that everybody should have in their back pocket. Just in case. It's something that you may need someday, and you may be able to make some money off of it. Okay, Mike, are you ready?
Okay, sure. I'm a little frightened, but I'm ready.
Can you tell me the 2 films in which, or there are the 2 series, I guess, 2 series of films in which its first movie and its second movie were both nominated for Best Screenplay?
Oh man, this sucks. The Godfather and Borat.
Yes. There you go. Yep.
As soon as you said that,
Borat is now on the same plane as The Godfather. That's it.
I'm about to quit this show right now. As soon as you said that, I was like, God damn it.
That is it. The only 2 movie franchises, for lack of a better term, in which the first and the second films were nominated for Best Screenplay: The Godfather and Borat. Very nice. I like. This is one of my favorites. Yes.
Oh my God. So question, if Borat comes out with a 3rd film and it's also nominated for Best Screenplay, does that then make it better than the Godfather trilogy?
I don't know. That's a really interesting competition that we've got going on. But there you go. That is it. No other film franchise has done it besides The Godfather and the Borat franchise. So
You know what? Props to Borat, though. I mean, uh, people said it couldn't be done. They couldn't make a good sequel comedy to a sequel into a comedy in which everybody sort of knew the gimmick. But Sacha Baron Cohen went out and he did it. He did the unthinkable. He actually pulled it off, and more importantly, it was actually a decent film, as evidenced by the 2 Oscar nominations that the film scored. Best Supporting Actress for Maria Bakalova in Borat's subsequent movie film as Tutar. She was fantastic. I mean, she
yeah,
came out of nowhere. I mean, absolutely fantastic. And then, like you mentioned, Best Adapted Screenplay. So, I can't believe the world we're in where Borat is getting multiple Oscar nominations.
yes,
I'm here
that
for it.
nice.
I'm here for it. And just a quick side note here, Sacha Baron Cohen didn't get nominated for Borat, but he did get nominated for his Best Supporting Actor role in The Trial of the Chicago 7. So Borat all around, whether or not we're talking about Borat and just the people involved in it getting nominated for awards, it's a really exciting time for Sacha Baron Cohen to be getting
Yeah,
this much, this much
recognition.
recognition thrown his way. Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
So
very
you're
good, very
probably
good year.
thrilled.
Very good year for Sacha Baron Cohen. I very excited to be at the Oscars. Yes. Yeah, I love that stat. Okay, how about we go over some odds to look forward to? I want to mention this one because I'm just gonna say save your money. Don't even think about betting on this one.
Wow. Okay.
Best actor. The nominees, you have Chadwick Boseman for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, Anthony Hopkins for The Father, Riz Ahmed for Sound of Metal, Gary Oldman for Mank, and Stephen Yeun for Minari. Although it is historic that Stephen Yeun has been nominated, I think he's the first Asian
He is.
now to.
He's the first.
Yeah,
Yes, he's the first Asian American to be nominated for Best Actor. That's
yeah.
incredible.
Although that's
He's also from The Walking Dead, Rich.
yes, that's right. Good old fan favorite from Walking Dead. Although that is very noteworthy and fantastic for the Asian community. And then you also have other legends like Anthony Hopkins and Gary Oldman. Unfortunately, Vegas is telling you right now, stay away from this category because I've never seen odds like this.
Is it Chadwick Boseman?
Oh yeah, and it is crazy. It's you have to lay down $30 to make $1.
Wow.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, an untimely death will do that for awards odds.
yeah,
We like to think that it goes to the most, deserving, but a lot of times the Oscars is who is up next, and especially when a big actor passes away, especially in the fashion that Chadwick Boseman did, it's usually a safe bet that they're going to win the award. And Chadwick Boseman, to be clear, I think he deserves, the recognition. I've always thought that he was fantastic. So it's not to say that he's only getting it because he died, but to Rich's point about the odds,
it really tilts the scales.
It really tilts the scales. Yes, exactly. But Chadwick Boseman, fantastic actor. I think he definitely deserves it. It reminds me very much of like Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
When he passed away. So yeah, tough category. Anthony Hopkins, classic. Gary Oldman, Chadwick Boseman, of course, the untimely passing away of him, and then Stephen Yeun, the first Asian American to be nominated for the award. I mean, it's a really stacked category right there.
Yeah, that I would say as for someone who does some betting, no, stay away from that. That's not going to be there's going to be no shock. Let's do best actress. It's only fair. We'll go from best actor to best actress. We have let's see, Vanessa Kirby, Pieces of a Woman, as the long shot, 10-1 odds for her. Viola Davis for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, 9-1. Frances McDormand for Nomadland, 5-1. Andra Day, United States versus Billie Holiday at 4-1. And the favorite is Carey Mulligan for Promising Young Woman. You have to lay $2 to make $1. So she's
Okay.
the favorite, but not necessarily a runaway favorite. But I'll tell you what, Promising Young Woman, that really got a lot of great buzz. Some people are saying that it's like the female version of the Joker movie, because it
Okay.
kind of
Interesting.
goes into like that whole kind of revenge when you're being oppressed and stuff like that
Right.
from the female point of view. So I can see that argument winning, and Carrie Mulligan taking the win in that way. So yeah, I think that's another fair assessment from Vegas.
Okay. What about best director? What does Vegas say about best director?
Let's see if I've got best director analyzed in this report here.
If the
Let's
odds
see.
are even out on it yet.
Yeah, so we've got Thomas Vinterberg for another round as the long shot, 30-1. Emerald Fennell for Promising Young Woman, 15-1. Lee Isaac Chung in Minari for 9-1. David Fincher, Mank at 7-1. But an overwhelming favorite here, Chloe Zhao for Nomadland. You have to lay $12 to make one, so that's a pretty substantial
Yeah.
lead there.
It's seeming like Nomadland is going to be one of the big winners of the evening. In addition to Mank I think had led the pack with 10 nominations. I mean, far more than any other film. The other, next, I think 6 films are all tied with 6 apiece. I mean, Mank is just head and shoulders above them in terms of total nominations. So between Mank and
Yeah,
Nomadland,
I
I mean, those,
gotta.
those are the only 2 movies that I've been hearing a lot of buzz about. I haven't, I hate to say it, I haven't seen any of these movies yet.
So
Um,
Mank is about the screenwriter that wrote the screenplay for Citizen Kane, and it's a shame that it came out this late, because I feel like if this movie came out in like 20 years ago, in those early 2000s, when like people were pining for like the Hollywood of the past, like
right.
you had those like you had those kind of stables that won, like Gladiator, because it had big set designs. Like there was kind of
Mhm.
like inadvertently this like draw to old Hollywood.
Right.
I think if it came out 20 years ago, Mank would clean up. But unfortunately, this is kind of a different year, different era, and I don't think it will be as successful
Right.
as it should be.
Big Hollywood isn't as marketable anymore.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm
Um,
trying to get at. Yeah.
which is fine. We can't keep on glorifying the past. We got to look to the present and the future. So uh, I mean, the Oscars is always just about Hollywood stroking its own ego. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of the opinion that it shouldn't go to a movie about
Yeah. Not anymore.
applauding itself. Yeah,
Yeah.
not anymore.
So how about I get into the best picture odds here?
Yeah.
We have The Father and Sound of Metal as the long shots at 60-1. Mank and Judas and the Black Messiah at 17-1. So yeah, they're probably not going to win.
Just what we were saying about Mank.
Promising Young Woman and Minari at 9-1. Then The Trial of the Chicago 7 at 5-1. But the overall favorite is Nomadland. You have to lay $4 to make $1 with that bet.
I wouldn't be surprised though if Trial of the Chicago 7 sneaks up and jumps to take it.
Ah,
Um, from what I understand, it is a fantastic movie, and other than Mank and Nomadland, it's the movie that I've heard the most about. So don't be totally shocked if it comes away with an award or two here or there.
all right.
It,
Well,
it's
Mike,
it's
if
gonna it's gonna be a tough hill to climb to topple Nomadland, but it's I feel like it's been flying under the radar.
Mike, if you're feeling risky, you could place a bet, maybe secure a 5-1 odds on that.
I'm never feeling risky or
Okay.
lucky,
Uh,
so that's not
it's
gonna happen.
what, Mike? It's St. Patrick's Day. You should be feeling lucky.
It's luck of the Irish, not luck of the Italian guy from southeastern Pennsylvania.
What? Murph? I don't know.
Merv?
Talking. I don't know. You could be. It could be you.
Maybe, who knows?
All right. We got to get to some other movie news besides the Oscars. This is something personally that I want to mention. Zack Snyder's Justice League randomly comes out tomorrow.
Who cares?
Um,
Sorry, go ahead, Rich. I know you care.
no,
But like Justice League, I mean, was that a movie that needed a 4-hour director's cut? Let me ask. So this movie, from what I understand, was terrible. Is Zack Snyder, this amazing Snyder cut, is this going to change how good or bad the movie is? Because it's already been shot. It's not like they're completely changing the plot line. They're just adding and removing and reshuffling scenes. Is it going to make a difference?
so here's the pro as to why you should watch this movie. The argument for this movie is the fact that when Zack Snyder was originally shooting Justice League, he had a personal family issue where his daughter just she died, and Zack Snyder had to be removed from completing the film and brought in now I forget his name. Brought in another director. So basically, another director finished Justice League, and that's why you could make the argument that Justice League isn't as consistent as Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman was, the other two films that Snyder produced. And this was
Yeah, but
supposed
those
to be...
movies also aren't good. This is what I don't. No. Hold on. Hear me out for a second. This is what I don't understand about DC. It's like, oh, Zack Snyder. But they're terrible. Like, I understand if you're like Zack Snyder and he's good, but it reminds me very much of J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
And how I used to say, J.J. Abrams. And then I looked at the actual filmography and I'm like, oh, wait, he's not that great. I feel like Zack Snyder suffers from a little bit of the J.J. Abrams thing in that he has this big name that people recognize, but just because you recognize it doesn't mean that he's good. Right. So, I mean, was Man of Steel good? Was Batman versus Superman good? Sorry, I'm like going off on a tangent now.
Yeah. Excuse me. Josh Whedon. Excuse me. That was, I couldn't remember his name for that.
Okay.
Funny how that happens. You get that roadblock. So Josh Whedon came in and finished Justice League. And a lot of fans said that if Zack Snyder had finished Justice League, you would have had the Snyder trilogy of Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, and Justice League.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have been good. I'm looking at his filmography. He had Dawn of the Dead, 300, and Watchmen. And since then, it's kind of been like, meh. It's Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Suicide Squad, he was an executive producer. Wonder Woman, he was an executive producer. Then Justice League, Aquaman. I mean, it's like...
Look, yeah. So basically, yes, you're right. You have to buy into the whole you love Zack Snyder argument.
Right.
And I'm sure that there is, because this movie was pretty much financed by the internet community and the diehard fans of DC that did not want to see this go incomplete. So I'm telling you, Mike, you may think that this is pish posh and nonsense, but there's a significant amount of the DC community that they want to see this. And it was enough to get this actually in production, made, and now finished. It's coming out tomorrow on HBO Max.
So maybe I'll watch it because I mean, should I go back and watch all the other DC movies? I don't know.
Well, here's your problem, and this is where I come in the against column. This Snyder cut is going to be 4 hours long.
Yeah. Do I need to watch this? Yeah.
I mean, look. If this is the case, this suffers the same problem, in my opinion, as The Irishman. This should have been a mini series. The Irishman works so much better as a mini series. It probably would have won Emmys. I am really surprised that they couldn't convince Scorsese to get off his high horse with the movie angle and stuff like that.
Because Scorsese has too big of an ego.
If The Irishman was a mini series, it would have been easier to digest. People would have loved it. People would have binge watched it. And you would have won a whole bunch of Emmys. And that's what this should have been. Because for a 4-hour singular movie, that's insane. Nobody, you're going to have people are going to have to take breaks. It's not happening. You're not going to watch this from start to finish.
No, 4 hours is an incredibly long amount of time to watch a movie. I mean, people, make fun of the Lord of the Rings for being so long. The longest Lord of the Rings movie clocks in at like 3.5. So I don't know where people are getting off, with a 4 hour
boy,
movie.
yeah, that's really significant. Oh yeah,
Yeah, but that's
trimming 20, 30 minutes off of the time frame. Oh yeah.
I mean, 30 minutes, it makes a difference. You could watch an entire half-hour sitcom on network television in that amount of time. The point that I'm getting at here is that I don't understand the hype with Zack Snyder. I've never been a fan of his movies other than, Watchmen and maybe 300. That I feel like he's very much like J.J. Abrams, where his name is his fame, and it's not like based on any sort of like quality film. So I probably won't be giving this a shot, which is a shame because I love superhero movies. I just don't like DC superhero movies because time and again, they're just not they're not as good a quality as the Marvel movies. I'm happy that DC fans are getting their Zack Snyder cut, but man, hop on the Marvel bandwagon. You'll have so much more fun.
No, Mike, we like to be dark and brooding and confusing and painful and full of angst.
Okay, well you go be painful and full of angst. I'll be enjoying my fun Marvel movies like Avengers Endgame, which unfortunately just lost the top spot to Avatar once again. That's right. Avatar is once again the highest grossing movie of all time after its recent re-release in China. And
China? That's who it is?
Yeah.
Damn China! Invade China right now! World War III over this.
Oh my God. To stop them from watching Avatar?
You guys have caused... This is the last straw. You caused James Cameron and his stupid ego. You want to talk about ego? James Cameron. There's a freaking ego for you. Now
you're right. I agree.
Now he's going to have a big balloon head over the fact Avatar is now back to be number one. Invade China. This is it. End World War III.
So I appreciate the fact that you also are annoyed at this story, probably for a different reason, but I agree with everything you're saying about James Cameron. What annoys me about this story is that Avatar was already re-released in theaters with an extended theatrical cut back in 2010 when the movie first came out. I remember people criticized Endgame. Oh, you can't re-release Endgame, even though Avatar did the same thing back in the day. So this now makes 3 releases for Avatar to get ahead of Endgame, which only had the 2 releases. I'm really worried that this is going to be a sign of things to come where, re-releases have always been a thing. Jurassic Park came out in 3D. I remember when Star Wars A New Hope came out, when we were like teenagers and, I went to go see it in theaters. But like Avatar only came out 10 years ago, I guess 11 at this point. Endgame came out twice, within like 18 months. So I don't know. I really hope that movies don't start doing this. Those top like 3 or 4 movies don't just keep re-releasing to try and leapfrog each other.
Yeah.
Or is Titanic going to get another re-release now? Like, when does it end?
Don't give James Cameron any more ideas.
And there's another director, just to go on another rant similar to Zack Snyder. I think James Cameron is really overrated. I really do.
That's a fair argument.
I mean, Titanic, whatever. People love it. I don't get it. Avatar.
You know me. I will contend with Titanic is legitimately a good movie. It is.
Is it?
It is.
All right. Well, I will die on that hill. Just like they both could have fit on that boat, or that door.
That's another separate issue.
No, it's the same issue.
No, it's not. It's 2 different things.
Rich is so upset right now.
Titanic itself is a fantastic movie. I have to give him credit for that.
No, it's the dumbest movie ever. It doesn't make any sense. She just throws away everything. Anyway.
Yeah.
This is a conversation for another time.
Right. We're going to have to settle that later because we're running a little late here.
We're running late. James Cameron is overrated. Titanic is overrated. Avatar is overrated. What did he do? Terminator 2?
Avatar is overrated.
Avatar is definitely overrated. And look, Avatar was a fine movie, but that's the problem. It was just fine. It didn't deserve all the crazy hype that it got when it first came out. It was revolutionary in a technological stance and in a cinematography and special effects stance, but it wasn't revolutionary in terms of story. It wasn't revolutionary in terms of character or anything, which is a shame because I think he developed a wonderful world. his world building was fantastic, but the story itself was nothing to write home about. Anyway, so yeah, this whole segment's just been getting mad at Zack Snyder and James Cameron.
Yeah.
We gotta calm down a little bit, Rich. Go back to what we know best and head into the odd news nugget to dial up another odd news story to close out this episode. Rich, what do you got for us this week in the odd news?
All right, yes, time for some odd news. And Mike, I'm going to need your help because this is a Florida story.
Who is this effing guy in Florida? It's Florida and they're crazy.
There you go. I can't wait till, listening back to those past episodes, I can't wait till I get like my sound effects back and stuff.
Oh man, the sound effects were great. I was listening to like the 2-minute drill and all the great sound beds that we had and all the great transitions.
Yeah,
it's rough being a human soundboard, Rich.
Yeah, you're doing a lot of work over there. Thank you, Mike.
I'm doing a lot of work, yeah. So anyway.
So we have this wonderful guy here, Eric Dietij.
Okay.
Eric Dietij. I have his mugshot there. Eric Dietij.
Okay. Looks like a happy guy.
Yep, he is a very happy guy. Because that guy, Eric Dietij, he had a little bit of fun.
That is never good in the odd news.
Yep.
When people in the odd news have fun, it's usually a crime.
Well, you're right, because Eric Dietij was the pantless Florida man that was arrested after police spotted him pleasuring himself with a pickle out in public.
Of course he was.
Oh, yeah.
Of course he was.
I just love the fact the news article on this has the following headline. I gotta get ready for this.
Okay.
Pickle-Packing Perv popped on private premise.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes, that's amazing.
Very good.
That newspaper gets like all the awards.
Yes.
Or whatever this news outlet is.
All the alliteration.
You know what's a shame though, Rich, is that this segment would have been perfect for the sound clip where I accidentally said dickle.
Yeah, dill pickle, dickle.
Dill pickle, dickle. Yeah, that's a deep cut right there.
Yeah.
But
this is a dickle story.
This is definitely a dickle story. So he was pleasuring himself with a pickle. I mean, why though? And also, how though? I'm very upset that this transpired.
Okay.
Why would he spoil a pickle like that? A perfectly good pickle.
Yeah, I know. Pickles are delicious.
They are delicious. I just had some delicious zesty dill pickles earlier today. I'm actually not kidding. So hold on. What's your favorite type of pickle, Rich?
Free ones. Yeah, I like a good pickle. Nothing wrong with pickles.
No, but do you like dill? Do you like bread and butter? Do you like sweet gherkin? You like them all?
Pretty much, yeah. They're all very good.
See, I only like the dill pickles.
Oh yeah, no, I really love it. I really love sweet gherkins. I love all of them. They're all
do like the sweet stuff, yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to Mr. Pickle Packer here. He was. So I read the wrong paragraph. I'm so excited. I'm reading the wrong paragraph here. Responding to a suspicious person's call at 4 p.m. So he's doing this right in the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah.
Cops saw 47-year-old Eric Dietij lying on his back in front of a townhouse in Oldsmar.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he was just letting it.
He's like not even like trying to be discreet about it. He's literally lying on his back, flagpole at full mast,
But yeah, the flag is up.
The flag is up.
Yep. Dietij, who did not have any pants or underwear, had one hand on his penis, according to the police report, and then a pickle that he was using to penetrate.
Oh God.
His backside. I think we'll leave it at that.
Oh my gosh.
I gotta admit, actually, the police report is pretty graphic.
Oh my God. You actually can't read it on the podcast, can you?
I'm going not to. I think it would be.
Oh,
I think it might be too much for.
That's really bad that you're hesitating to read something on the podcast. I mean, very rarely does that happen. This police report must have been.
Yeah, these two Florida cops, man, they get every detail of the nasty.
Oh my God. That's horrific, Rich.
Yeah. So obviously he was immediately arrested. You can't be doing
I mean,
this.
it was like a crime against nature. They just immediately booked him. They're like, you're done.
Yeah. Yeah, we can't have this. Look, we're Florida. We'll let a lot of things fly, but this is too much.
This is too much.
This is too much. It's 4 p.m.
So wait, that was the big sticking point. The fact it was 4 p.m. If it was 5 p.m. or 3 p.m., that's totally fine.
Yeah, the old people are going out to their early bird specials. They can't see this. They're gonna have a heart attack and die before they get to the Perkins.
Right, and then it's actually homicide. So
right.
You know they're really saving lives by arresting this guy when you
right.
break it down.
Right.
Yeah.
So no good. Can't have this. He was arrested on a misdemeanor exposure of sexual organs. So,
yes, the sexual organs.
Exposure of sexual organs. We can't have that. No.
Nope.
His bond was only $150.
There you go.
Mike, I write this down. I don't care. Someone out there, everyone write this down. I don't care. At some point when we get back to our regular podcast, I want to interview an actual like bail bondsman or somebody that sets these bails. They're all over the place.
How they come up with these numbers. Like, do they have a chart? Do they have a ledger? They flip through, like, let's see, inappropriate behavior with pickle.
Yeah.
There's like a whole bunch of different items. They're like blow up doll, spatula, pickle. There we go.
Yeah, pickle.
Yes, $150.
Yep, that's an extra $34.
This ledger is like a tome. It's like one of those giant dictionaries, right?
Yeah.
And it's just lists and lists and lists of different crimes, and then with the different variables, you know, because how do they come with $150? Like, what is that?
Yeah,
that's nothing. That's chump change.
Right. So I don't know. Whenever we're back to a regular podcast, we're going to interview a bail bondsman. No, it's not bail setter. Is it a judge? Does the judge do it?
I actually don't know who sets bail.
Yeah, who actually comes up with the monetary amount?
Okay, here we go. I found an article from, I don't know, whatever nolo.com is, how judges set bail.
The opposite of YOLO.
Yeah, the opposite of YOLO. It's NOLO.
Ah! Don't do anything!
Oh my God. So judges set bail based
I want that on a bumper sticker. YOLO.
NOLO.
NOLO. Ah! Can't do anything.
You're having way too much fun.
NOLO.
Wait, there's an algorithm. Algorithms to set bail. Hold on. What is a bail algorithm? How are bail algorithms? Oh my God, I can't say algorithms used. Factors considered in bail setting formulas. Let's see. Formulas that use statistics in order to assess risk come into play. Here's the basic idea. The algorithm takes selected information about the defendant and produces an objective, scientifically based assessment. Before making a bail decision, the judge gets to consider the algorithm's result. So it will typically consider several factors, then produce some kind of score or recommendation for or against release. One bail tool, for example, gives separate scores for risk of breaking the law and risk of failing to appear in court. Wait, are these links that I can click? Is this a bail tool?
Oh my God. Okay.
Oh, it's a New York Times article.
Right,
these are going to require way more research.
All right, yeah, we're going to have to stop there because we're already running over. So
yeah.
I don't know. At some point, we're going to ask a judge or somebody.
We're going to dive into this, Rich.
Right.
We're going to figure this out.
Right. We're going to have a legitimate interview at some point when we're back to regular podcast. But that's looking too far ahead into the future. Let's look to just this weekend with apocalypse activities. Mike, what are you going to recommend to people to do this weekend?
I had something in mind and I completely forgot it because of the bail thing.
Okay, you want me to I'll go first.
I did remember. Yours isn't going to be as good as mine. So,
yeah, who are you? Go away. Why are you on this podcast?
No,
your apocalypse activities suck. Take that. Had enough of your stuff.
Actually, yours is probably going to be way better than mine because mine is going to be to go check out Paramount Plus. So I was perusing Paramount Plus and they had all of the old Nickelodeon shows Before recording, I was humming the theme song to Doug. And it blew my mind that this year, in 2021, Doug, Rugrats, all those classic old Nickelodeon cartoons, they're all 30 years old. That Doug and the Rugrats came out in 1991. And if you go back and look at some of those early episodes, they were the jankiest animated shows ever. I mean, they sounded like they were recording like I'm recording right now with like a pair of like earbuds.
You're probably
Audio's
better than they were.
probably the animation, some of it was like half finished, and like it was just really, you know, we mentioned earlier in the episode talking about time capsules. You know, go back and watch some of those old animated shows and just appreciate how far we've come in television production and animation standards. I mean, Doug, the first episode was super rough, and it's really interesting to see and to hear what we thought passed as great TV as kids. I remember I watched Doug and Rugrats so much, and they were like some of my favorite shows on Nickelodeon. So it was really great blast from the past to go relive animation that is 30 years old as of this year. So go check out Paramount Plus if you have it, and relive all that awesome 90s Nick nostalgia. How's that for alliteration? So that's what I would recommend doing. Rich, what do you got? Hopefully it's way better than mine.
Yeah, I'm going to say if you're a fan of the Man of Steel and Batman versus Superman, I think it's worth giving the Snyder Justice League cut a viewing. But we're going to have to break it up. This 4 hours is way too long. I already know Rachel is not going to want to sit 4 hours straight to watch this movie. So I heard that there is going to be chapters, so hopefully that will suffice. But I don't know, like, are they actually like full blown like segmented? Like, that's an actual like screen pop up? I don't know, but hopefully that will be enough to do the job, because yeah, 4 hours is too much. But I think it's interesting to see how Snyder would have done this film had, you know, he had stayed on with the project and could have fulfilled his trilogy. Yeah, it would have been a trilogy between Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and then Justice League. So
Yeah. So are you going to watch and then maybe give us a little bit of a review next week, maybe?
if I finish all 4 hours, it is a lot to ask for.
It's a lot to ask for, yeah.
But there you go. That's our apocalypse activities. And with that, it is time to start wrapping up this episode. Thank you guys for watching and listening and supporting the Crispy Noodle podcast. If you like what you heard, make sure you go to our website, thecrispynoodle.com. Make sure you're following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, the whole shebang bang, so you know what we're up to with each week's episode.
That's right. In addition to the whole shebang bang, you can also still get the audio version of the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher, as well as Amazon devices. So either subscribe to the channel on YouTube to get the video version, or subscribe to the Crispy Noodle podcast on the podcast service of your choice.
That's right. We also have a SoundCloud page where you have mini noodle promos. You can check that out and have a quick laugh on the go.
That's right. So many ways to get in touch with and share the Crispy Noodle podcast. But if you want to get in touch with us individually, you can find us on Twitter. You can share your sports, entertainment, or odd news stories there with us. I'm at Mikey Costanzo, MikeyCostanzo.
And I am at Rich Liebig, RichLiebig. Find us on the Twitters and let us know what's happening. But for right now, we got to wrap this episode up. We had a lot of fun going over all the crazy news stories. Yeah, a good episode, Mike. Anything else?
No, that's it. Another good one in the books, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right. So this has been the Crispy Compact Communiqué, the offshoot podcast of the Crispy Noodle. Let us be the Crispy Noodle in your vegetarian salad of life and boring news. That will do it. We'll see you guys next week.
See you guys
later. Bye-bye, all you fine peoples. See ya.
Some of us have great stories, pretty stories that take place at lakes with boats and friends and noodle salad. A lot of people, that's their story. Good times, noodle salad.